funny actually. I joke about it, but golly, that's a very interesting question actually. So basically, look, good morning or good day, everybody. My name is Alistair Chapman. So I'm the Director of Marketing at Certification Centre Canada. I'm British, but living here in Montreal, and I've worked for 3C for 7 years, I think, something like that. As I said, I'm Director of Marketing, but I get to do all sorts of business development and sales, and everything to do with the front side of the business. I work primarily with Phil Cole, and that's what we do. I believe it's been 7 years. I'm not quite sure. I have to look back. I used to work at Bombardier. I went to Bombardier to do the customer experience, or to help Bombardier with the customer experience. I'd set up on my own for a while, and I was working as a consultant. And I was very fortunate to meet Phil. Actually, quite by chance, and there's a lovely story behind that. But anyway, I met Phil just very casually in a coffee shop, and I think within a week or so he had hired me, and I came on board. I was actually the first registered employee of Certification Centre Canada. Well, as mentioned, my title is Director of Marketing, but we're a small company, so you get to do all sorts of things. So I do all things sales, business development, marketing. It's funny actually. I joke about it, but there's with everything else, there's not that much time left for marketing, but we still do it. Phil and myself, we basically we're out and about, meeting customers, clients, going to trade shows. Talking to people, talking about the company, making those connections and everything else. We also get involved in a lot of committees, a lot of boards, a lot of industry groups and stuff like that as well. It's funny. Actually, it's a funny question actually, because growing up, I was always into boats, onto the nautical side of things. And I wasn't that interested in aerospace. My background was all about, how do we connect? How do individuals connect to each other, and how do we connect to products and stuff like that? The interesting thing about aerospace, I think, is that the vast majority of people who work in aerospace, they love aerospace. I mean, really, really are passionate about it. And it's hard not to, because it's especially when you work in it, and the sort of things that we do. There's traditional aerospace stuff too, but there's so much going on with advanced air mobility and things like that. It's a really exciting time to be in this industry, and I just love it. That's a very interesting question actually. So basically, look, there's a lot of people in aerospace who are very experienced, but of course they're getting, we're all getting older. And we have a certain type of mindset about how things are done, and we've grown up with this, in a more sort of traditional sort of aerospace sector. It's a very long time normally to bring an aircraft through design, build, certification, and everything else. What's happening now? You've got people wanting to, flying cars. You want, electric aviation, advanced air mobility. You've got eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. All of these things are getting developed, and you'll see them in the news and everything else. When these things are finally flying and being used and everything else, this isn't going to be for me. I'm going to be retiring and stuff like that. So the people who are actually going to have to get these things flying and be flying in them and everything else, they're it's a younger generation. It would be very beneficial, and I think it's really important that not only can these younger people bring this sort of their understanding, their knowledge and stuff to things. We can help mentor them and everything else. But then they're going to be the ones who are going to actually be responsible, and they're going to make it happen. And that's exciting. So right now we've got some major challenges. All industries have major challenges. Obviously, there's the greening of aerospace. We have to find a way to make aerospace, flight sustainable and green and ecological and all of these sort of things. These are really, really important. A big challenge, of course, you've got electric cars being developed, and you'll see them. They're ubiquitous now. I mean, you see them everywhere. But for aerospace, it's a lot harder because, of course, batteries are heavy, and so you can make something fly. You can put a huge battery in it, and you can actually get it off the ground, but you won't have any range. You won't have any distance. So that sort of solution, until there's a major breakthrough in battery technology, that's not plausible in the near to medium term future. We have to look at other things. Hydrogen is a very interesting proposition. One area that is actually really I think will probably end up being certainly a stopgap solution is these, synthetic aviation fuels. So basically, we make aviation fuel out of, through sustainable production and everything else. Yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting to see if that will happen. But there's all sorts of things going on. It really is an exciting time to be in aerospace.